Happy Saturday, Nashville 4's company here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. I'm Jake Lyman, joined in studio by Nick Frazier and Connor Newt. Jake Wallman back behind the board after a week off last week. We got a fun show planned for you here. A lot of hockey talk in the first hour. We'll talk some football in the second hour. We are presented by LPL Financial Nashville and Patrick Conger. Gentlemen, how are we? How was your week?
Honestly, it's been great. I can't complain. We're in for another fun weekend of college football. I got up early this morning, made some breakfast. I was telling you all about it. Just
what's new?
I strolled in here and Connor saw all my windows down, and I was just jamming out to Luke Combs. I was
raining and pouring.
Man, it was excuse me. It was great.
When it rains, it pours. Was that the song?
Yes, that was.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of different going on. Zach Top, Luke Combs, Cody Johnson.
Any Zach Bryan in there?
Please no.
No, I don't like listening to Zach.
Thank you.
Yeah, rough week for him.
Yeah,
what happened to him?
about all this.
Oh, you haven't seen this? Like him and his girlfriend broke up.
I knew that.
He offered her like a $12 million NDA to not talk about how crazy he is, but she denied it and went on a podcast this week and like blew him up.
Good.
So
good.
Oh, you didn't know?
You're gonna tell somebody.
There you go. Wrestling reference. Yeah, we're off and running.
Let's get to our headlines here this morning. Let's see. Connor Newt, lead us off.
Okay. I'm going to get really selfish here. It was a first for many things this week for me. But my first article has been released and published, and I'm very thrilled to announce that they're going to keep coming. I'll actually probably have one out.
They didn't fire you after the first one?
No, I didn't say any obscenities that would just...
That's good. There's no dump button on
no, not in print.
No, not in print.
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't used the dump button on me. I seem to push the boundaries of radio.
You toe the line. You never cross it.
Never cross it, but knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, we're going to keep rolling. Men's basketball, I'm writing for them. I'll probably get some women's basketball stuff out as well. But men's is kind of my specialty right now. But yeah, I'm if you haven't already, give me a follow. Not to plug myself, but I'm going to plug myself.
Plug away.
Yeah. It's at C_Newt15. I look forward to hearing from you. If you want to find my articles, it's on gomiddle.com, Rivals affiliate of MTSU. And yeah, I'm excited. Very exciting.
Congrats, Connor.
Thank you.
We're excited for you.
When you texted us, like, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Yep.
Frazier probably felt a little more proud. I mean, you've seen me as a small child. So.
Well, yes.
All right.
When I was in grade school.
Yeah.
His dad was the PE teacher. And, let me just clarify. Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries once again.
Connor, when he was sick, his dad would take him to work. And I was like, I know that kid now. And he came to work here. I was like, oh, I know you. And yeah, now we become best friends.
Wow.
Yes.
Small world.
It took 3 minutes to push the boundaries of the FCC.
Yes. Yep.
We're off and running.
All right.
Dr. Crane, go ahead.
As for my wonderful headline, last night I was watching some high school football around the area, and it was Nolensville and Tullahoma. And our very own Joe Rexrod's son, Brennan Rexrod. This is not the Middle Tennessee Athlete of the Week. Don't have one this week. But I wanted to an honorable mention of Brennan Rexrod. Played really well last night as the inside linebacker for Nolensville. They ended up winning, I believe, like 23-10 or 23-14, something along those lines.
What's the stat sheet?
I'd have to go back online and look. I'm sorry. It's a bad.
No Brennan Rexrod stats. Huh?
But you know what? He had like 2 tackles. I do recall seeing that on TV.
Wow.
So, I mean, he seemed pretty juiced on the field. He was all over the field, actually, whenever they're on defense. So shout out to Brennan Rexrod and Nolensville High School for going on to the next round of the, Tennessee State playoffs in their division. So class. But yeah, that's that. What else? I saw a lot of Juan Soto stuff. I know we're talking baseball way back in the day. Soto looking at maybe a potential look at the Rays, the Mets.
Man, if he goes to the Rays,
could you
I think the Rays are looking at him. I don't think he's looking at the Rays.
Well, his projected number for the offseason is more than Ohtani, and it's like 800 million or something like that.
It's at least 6, 7, somewhere up there. I mean, it seems like it's New York, whether it's the Mets or the Yankees, who knows? But who knows? There could be some sneaky suitors in there.
I'm looking at joining the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if they're looking at me, but see what I'm saying?
Can we just get practice squad options? Like,
as Robbie Stanley would say, we're having tryouts in the Applebee's parking lot for kicker.
I can kick over the roof. I'll tell you that right now. That's a good 30-yard kick.
Yeah, I can't kick.
Yes, you can.
No.
Have you ever insulted a kicker before?
Yeah. There were some pretty bad ones for about a 5-year span here. Mike Vrabel said it best. These guys came to Nashville and forgot how to kick a football.
Mm-hmm.
I have insulted them. I couldn't do what they do. I think I could make like a 12-yard field goal.
Nah, you'd be able to make
Like
something.
the college football extra point. I think I could make that.
Yeah.
That's not 12. It would be 19 if you had
you
the
do the
7,
Pat
but-
McAfee kicking challenge.
Ooh, I would miss it, but I could try it.
You double your money.
I might hurt somebody.
Just don't do what Jason Kelsey did and show up in Timberlands.
I know right now.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
Me
with that.
too.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're not going there.
I'm pretty sure I can make a 40-yarder right now.
Really?
It's been about a year and a half since I've kicked a football, but I know for a fact I could probably kick it 40.
All right. Sometime in the next couple of weeks after the show, we're gonna go find an open field.
Oh, I got one.
Okay, perfect.
We're
and
good.
Come on down to Floyd Stadium.
We will videotape this, and we will see if Nick Frazier can actually make a 40-yard field goal.
Would you guys, since I work till noon most Saturdays, would you guys wait?
Yeah, we could wait.
Yeah.
We could go grab lunch.
We'll go
and
to
then do.
we'll go get lunch and then we'll come
Sweet.
back and pick you up.
Yep. We can do that.
Bring lunch though. We'll have a picnic
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
field.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like a delight.
Go to the next pie stop, get some pies.
Love it.
It's an office reference, but
Oh yeah. No, I just got that. There you go.
Yeah.
I do declare.
All right, I'm
right.
following in Connor's footsteps and doing a shameless plug. Vandy women's basketball. We are off and running this year. First 2 games are in the books, and man, the Commodores have come to play, outscoring their opponents this week by a total of 108 points. 102-50 over Lipscomb on Monday, and then last night 93-37 over Austin P. The Doors have come out rolling, even shorthanded. We're missing 3 pretty big players. I wouldn't say starters, but three key contributors on Monday. Got 1 back last night, but still not fully healthy and still, beating the brakes off teams. So we love to see it. It's been fun. You can tune in 94.9 The Fan for those games. And we are headed down to Tampa, Florida for our first road trip on Thursday, taking on South Florida. So it's been fun so far.
That's where we'll go. We'll go to Raymond James.
There we go.
We'll
Yeah.
come with you.
Yeah. Group trip. We're heading out Wednesday morning. So if you guys want to
Yeah, we'll be there.
buy some tickets.
that'd be a little tough for my
Oh,
schedule.
we're not buying
Sure.
we're not buying tickets.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna put us in like a dog
We're putting
crate,
okay.
and I'll be your pet.
I don't know,
Awesome.
I think I'm small enough to fit in a suitcase.
I think you could.
That's
Okay,
happened
so you're
before.
going in the suitcase.
Yep.
Connor, you're gonna be Fido in the crate.
And Wallman can be carry on.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll just sit in
perfect.
the carry-on stage.
Just
you
be
know.
like, this
But-
is my son.
I'm gonna just put him in the overhead compartments if that's not a
Oh, yeah.
problem.
We'll bring you some like a hamster
sneak,
thing of
yeah,
water.
sneak some water up there.
maybe
and
some treats.
some graham crackers or something.
a Lunchable.
Yeah.
Hey, Lunchables have gotten really good these days.
Haven't had one in about 9 years.
I don't think
yeah.
I can say I've ever had a Lunchable.
I did when I was a
Are
kid.
you kidding me?
Yeah, you got it. The old pizza ones that was basically just a cracker with like a little
Yeah,
bit
I
of
don't even
tomato
think it was
paste
a
and
cracker.
cheese.
They were too expensive for not enough food.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It was like
fair.
$8 for a cracker and some cheese.
I did think it was a game changer though when they included the juice box,
Yeah.
the
Make it all in one.
the juice
Mm.
pouch. What was those?
Capri Sun.
Yep.
Capri Sun.
There
yeah.
you go.
Did you guys ever buy like the Ritz crackers and then you get the can of cheese? Did you ever get the spray
Oh
cheese?
yeah, the spray cheese.
And you put the Ritz cracker on top of the nozzle and it just goes through the hole and it just swirls all the way up like a ice cream.
I was never.
I've
a
seen
Ritz
it. I don't think
cracker
I've
guy.
done that.
I did that as a kid. It was awesome. I feel like with Lunchables, it's a cheat code because you can just manipulate the whole entire food system on that.
Yeah, I haven't had a Lunchable probably since elementary school, but
It's valid. Same here.
This is the same guy who hasn't had Taco Bell in 20 years. So that should have been my headline. A couple.
Me?
No, me.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
I had Taco Bell for the first time the other day.
it took me 20 years to get Taco Bell too.
It's pretty
So,
good.
Are you converted?
It's not life changing.
Yeah, like I still don't go out of my way to get Taco Bell, but I'll
If I'm driving and it's like 11:30 and there's
Uh-huh.
nothing else open, Taco Bell here.
it's an
Yeah,
option. It's an option.
Normally after Preds games, that's where I go. It's a safe
Mhm.
haven.
Yeah. Late.
Sometimes you get a free chicken quesadilla.
Now Baja Blast. That was
That
life-changing.
life changing for sure. You didn't even get to try the nacho fries, which are
We are
fantastic.
free advertising right now.
Yes. Anyway, shameless plug. 94.9 The Fan for all those games. And if you want to come out, not this upcoming week, but the week after, we got 3 straight home games. So you can come out to Memorial Gym. We play Butler, Hampton, and Sanford. So it should be some fun games over there on West End. Jake, wrap us up with headlines, and you are also in charge of our question of the day, so you can get to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So my headline is also staying in the world of college basketball. I don't know if you guys saw this. So Auburn is playing a game today at Houston, and they were supposed to leave yesterday afternoon, I believe. Jeff Goodman with Goodman's Hoops, plugging him there, tweeted this out yesterday just after 6 o'clock. Auburn plane returned back home due to horseplay between players on the flight that could have escalated into a fight, source told the Field of 68. Auburn was about 45 minutes en route and had to return home. Source said they're still expected to take another plane to Houston later tonight. Tigers play Houston tomorrow night.
They turned
They
around.
turned around.
Yeah, I guess staffers had to hold them back.
Oh my gosh. What are you? What's Bruce Pearl, a dad? You keep it quiet back there, kids, or I'm turning this plane around.
I mean, why are they fighting on the plane? Fight when you land.
Yeah.
This is typical of a Bruce Pearl basketball team.
Yeah.
They turned the plane around.
Yeah, they went back home.
Oh, I'd been upset. I would have been very upset. If I'm a university president, you're costing us money because it takes a lot to fill up that
is
airplane.
true.
Yeah. You get a separate plane. That's more money.
And it's not like they were on some big 757 or Boeing or something. They were on, from what I saw, knocking things over in here. They were on a charter plane.
Oh my God.
So it's pretty compact.
Yeah.
And you have 18, 19, 20-year-old guys that are horsing around. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough look.
You know what's
for
good though?
Auburn.
If they fought, they're men. They probably made up in 10 minutes.
I want to know who lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was the two brothers and another guy.
I think it was Chad Baker Mazzara involved?
Yeah, he
one
was
of
the
them.
other guy. Yeah.
And then the brothers, I can't remember.
I know
their names,
he's pretty tough on the floor. He might have won.
I'd love to know what the fight was about.
Did
Anyway.
you steal my Lunchable?
Jake, what is our question of the day?
All right, guys. So we could go two ways. Are you feeling sports or non-sports?
We haven't talked sports yet.
That is true. We have barely touched sports, so let's go non-sports.
Okay, so I was off last week, as you know, I was moving, and one of my new household chores, is picking up after my dog when I take her outside to use the bathroom, because we are a civilized society.
I have to do that for my brother.
And I have the little poop bags, and I have to put it in the trash can because, like I said, we are a civilized society with laws, and when a society that has no laws breaks down, things go haywire. But that's a talk for another day. So I was wondering, what is the least household chore you like?
Okay.
Your least favorite house.
Least favorite household
thing
chore.
to do around the house. That's
Yeah.
a good question. I'm sure we've got some people out there who want to chime in on that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You can text or call, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll put some thought into that because I've got a few that are coming to
I
mind.
have a few.
But we will give our answers coming up around 10 o'clock later on in the show. We will step aside. We will actually talk sports when we come back. We're going to talk some hockey. Predators continuing to struggle early on in the season. Can they get it turned around at home tonight, taking on the Utah Hockey Club? We'll get to that next. You're on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune into 102.5 The Game tomorrow for coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Coverage will begin following the Vanderbilt men's basketball game. Coverage also available on the 102.5 The Game app and at theGameNashville.com. 4's company here on this Saturday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you. Time to talk some hockey. Let's do that hockey. Predators are at home for a short trip back to Bridgestone Arena, taking on the Utah Hockey Club tonight, looking to get back in the win column. But it's been a tough week for the Nashville Predators. They've lost back-to-back games over the last couple of days, losing in Washington and then at Florida against the reigning Stanley Cup champions. But what's really gotten the most headlines was Barry Trotz's comments on this station back on Tuesday in his weekly visit with Jared Stillman. This has been all over Sportsnet and the NHL Network. Barry Trotz talking about, is it time to hit the panic button yet? Here is what he had to say to Jared Stillman on Tuesday.
How far away are we from the Barry Trotz hitting the time for him to do something massive button?
Well, I think, we get on the road here a little bit. I'm trying to do some things right now. We will be limited a little bit because of some of the contracts that we do have. If we don't get it going, then I'm going to start our rebuild plan a little bit. What we did in the summer was, as I say, fantasy hockey until we become a good team. If we do not become a good team, then we're going to see a lot more of our kids starting their process. Like I said, we brought in the veteran players to extend this year and be a threat. I think I use the term. And then hopefully in the next coming years, our young guys come in and they take a bigger role. So that if we fall out into a position where we fall out and it's not happening or it doesn't come together, then, I'm going to start probably that process, and you're going to see some kids and we'll start our process on getting them the needed games that they need and start developing them and still trying to win because we've got some good players. But we're gonna shake it up if we don't get going pretty soon, for sure. It's a cultural thing. I don't like losing. I didn't come here to lose. That's why we tried to do the things that we did this summer.
So Barry Trotz not holding back, saying that, hey, if things don't turn around pretty quickly, we're going to have to pivot into more of a rebuilding pattern. This team sits at the bottom of the Central Division at 4-9-1, 3 straight losses. Again, it's early. You're only 14 games in, but it hasn't looked good for the Preds. It hasn't looked good lately for the Preds. And, after you turn around tonight, after playing Utah, you've got a 5-game West Coast swing that you have to really turn things around quick, or you could come back home in real trouble towards the end of November.
Yeah. As of right now, the Nashville Predators are team 32 of 32.
Yep.
Dead last. So, like you said, you're really going to have to claw your way out of this one, especially with this big road trip coming up. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media saying, fire Andrew Burnett. This isn't a coaching thing. This is not Andrew Burnett's system. Maybe he has to tinker with a few things here just to fit these players' play styles, but this is all on the players. They're just not performing. And I think in that interview, Barry is kind of mentioning the veterans are where it's at. You're not seeing the leadership you want. You're not seeing the level of play from your free agents, which on the free agents, I'm with Robbie. I don't know if you guys heard this. People are saying trade Shea, Stamkos, Marchessault. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, none of those 3 are getting traded at all. You just brought them in on rather large contracts, and I don't think there's much of a market for them right now. I don't think anyone's really going.
No.
They're going to turn this around. I'm not trying to sunshine pump it, but this is a good team. This is too good of a team on paper to turn this around.
And going off what Connor said, I think part of it is they've just had some rotten luck.
Yeah.
Me and Jake Lyman we produced the Preds game Wednesday night, and Ovechkin scores to take the 3-2 lead, and Nashville presumably gets a goal to tie it at 3, and they reviewed it and waved it off due to goalie interference. I don't think that was goalie interference. I thought, if anything, I think it was Marchessault Was it Marchessault that scored?
Yeah, it was Marchessault and Del Gaizo were kind of in a scrum in front of the net.
And from the way I saw the replay, they got pushed into the goalie. So it looked like the goal should have stood. But I mean, I think part of it is just, and I heard some comments from Brunette this morning with the Preds official podcast about frustration kind of leaking into the locker room. And once it leaks into the locker room, it leaks into each player individually. So I feel like they're a good team that's just fallen because of rotten luck. And, at some point you got to get that out of the way. And I think it only takes one win to get stuff like that to go away. So, I was hoping that it would have been last Saturday with a win over Colorado at home, but maybe tonight is their night where they get it out of the way. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's going to take an away trip, especially coming up after this Saturday, for the Preds to really start gelling. Obviously, Hal Gills mentioned it that an away trip for a team like this probably will do good for the future going forward in this season. I mean, if you look at the rest of this, you have Utah today, but then the following road trip is Colorado, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Seattle. A lot of late puck drops. I don't think time's going to be much of a difference for them because they're going to be already on the west side of the U.S. and Canada and whatnot.
Those are some struggling teams too.
Yeah, exactly. They are. And so with that being said, it's just going to come down to the veteran, like you were mentioning earlier, Connor, this veteran leadership. It needs to click. And if it doesn't click after that away trip, that's where you kind of start to hit the panic button, like you were alluding to.
If you're a Preds fan, here's a positive to the street. Steven Stamkos is putting pucks in the net now.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. He's doing what you've brought him in to do. And I think he's got 2 in the last 3.
Yeah.
So
back to back.
Yeah, he's killing it. But that's what they need to build off of. You need to set this guy up for play. I think Barry mentioned this too. You have 340 goal scorers and none of them are putting the puck in the net. So now that you got one going, let's see if you can get the other 2 going.
Here's something that kind of frustrates me a little bit about Brunette's system. I'm not the biggest hockey savant out there at all, but everybody talks about this fast-paced style offense for Brunette, and you quick transition from defense to offense. I think you kind of got to slow it down a little bit, in my opinion, because if you got a bunch of veteran guys, obviously they're not spring chickens, so their legs are not going to be as fresh as they are from the first period to the third period. But I think you kind of got to slow it down a little bit and just go back to the basics, just to kind of hit the reset button on the ice, not as a culture, not as a roster in the locker room, whatever, just on the ice. Just take it back a step. Maybe something else comes from that.
I think that the talent is there. And like you said, Connor, no one's trading. They're not trading Stamkos. They're not trading Marchessault. They're not trading Shea. They're not trading, obviously, Yossi and Forsberg and Saros. Like, that core is who Barry Trotz wants to build around. And I think maybe you take his words of we're going to have to start rebuilding. It doesn't mean they're going to tear it down to the studs. It means they're going to find ways to build around that core in a different way, because clearly the construction hasn't worked right now. Maybe they figure it out on their own, but Barry, his job is to figure out what's not working with this roster construction and see how he can make it better. That does not mean getting rid of some of your best players.
No.
It means building around those players in a different way that allows them to be more successful. And I think that's maybe what we start to see the rest of the year.
You've got a window here. I think we've talked about this ad nauseum with this team. You're not going to blow up the window within a month. It's not how this works. I mean, now could we start to see maybe that not as good? I don't want to say not as good. What am I looking for?
The quality?
No, play not your core pieces, but younger guy, like third or fourth line guys.
Your role players.
Role players. Colton Sissons.
Maybe a Tommy Novak gets traded.
Mark
He
Jankowski,
hasn't lived up to the hype this year.
Right. Guys like that. Could we start to see maybe some of them go down to Milwaukee or even off to other teams? Possibly, yeah. But it's a matter of this team needs to figure out who they want to be, what kind of style team they want to be. And I'm with Nick Frazier. I think maybe slowing it down a little bit, getting back to the basics of, this is how we run our team. Let's slow it down a little bit. I think that could help this team immensely.
Yeah, and you've seen the Preds in years past where they've kind of emphasized on defense, and then you get to this new regime of hockey, where a new style, I should say, where it's fast transition from defense to offense and high fast offense every single time. Well, you have all those really good defensemen like Roman Yossi, Brady Shea, and so forth. But like Hal Gill mentioned it, I think I already said this, but Hal Gill mentioned it on the Chase and Big Joe show, I think 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, about, you have a certain identity with playing fast paced. Why would you want to change it? And that's where I know he's got a lot more experience than I am. He's a Stanley Cup winner, but I feel like when it comes to something like that, you got to slow it down just a tad bit.
Yeah, and I think Andrew Brunette, you have to be flexible. Like we talk about it all the time in football. Like, yeah, you might have your system, but you have to play to the strength of the players that you have. If it's not working the way that it's set up in your system, you have to adjust. You have to make some changes, and we'll see if Andrew Brunette makes a few of those. We'll take a quick break here. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to chime in, you can text or call. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan today for Vanderbilt football. The Commodores taking on South Carolina. Pregame begins at 1:30, kickoff at 3:15. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at thegamenashville.com. We'll keep talking Preds on the other side here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune in to 93.3 FM, Totally Hits Nashville today for MTSU football. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, the Blue Raiders will take on Liberty at home. Pregame at 10:30, kickoff at noon. MTSU football coverage on 93.3 FM. Totally Hits Nashville is presented by Sloan's Motorcycle ATV. 4's Company here on this Saturday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you. We're talking Predators as they prepare for a quick home game tonight against Utah before hitting the road for 5 straight out on the West Coast. Talked about Barry Trott's comments from Tuesday with Jared about how he won't be scared to pull the trigger on a rebuilding process around this core that he's built up. I kind of wanted to compare the comments of the 2 general managers in town. And I'm sure Jared has already done this. I haven't heard him do it, but it is just funny hearing Jake Wallman say, the Predators have been unlucky, which is true. The amount of times that they've hit the post this year, I can't even count how many times they've been so close to a goal and just haven't been able to get it finished, and the goalie interference and all that. But you don't hear Barry Trotz coming on the show and saying, man, the puck just hasn't bounced our way.
Well, the puck can't really bounce.
It can if
you
you
can get puck luck.
Yeah, you
Puck
can,
Like a knuckle puck. It just
Yeah.
trickles away. Yeah.
Well,
you can bounce it on its side.
the football is round.
That's right. It's oblong. It's not round.
It's not round. It's
That
oblong.
egg shape.
You never know which way it's going to bounce.
Oh my God.
I just, to compare and contrast, it's like the Predators came in with even higher expectations. Like, yes, both teams spent money in the offseason, but the Preds went all in getting Stamkos, Marchessault, extending Saros, all of that. The Titans spent money and they got L'Jarius Sneed and Calvin Ridley, but the expectations for the Preds were even higher. And you don't see Barry Trotz excusing some of the play that's happened. Like, and I don't mind Rand Carthon, and I'm not going to come on here and say he needs to be fired or anything, but I just wish he was better when he spoke in public. Like John Robinson, you can say what you want to say about what John Robinson did as the general manager in the draft picks and the AJ Brown trade, but you always kind of felt confident when you heard what he had to say. Like I always could believe John Robinson and felt like he was being honest. It's like Rand Carthon, when he steps in front of a microphone, I just don't believe him.
If he steps in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
All 2 times he's done it this year.
You'd just like for him to be more accountable behind the microphone.
I don't know. It's just, it feels like everything he says, he's just trying to make himself look better or make excuses.
Add to a story script.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at
That's
it.
how I feel about the entire staff. Like Brian Callahan crying the other day.
Well, I think that was real.
No,
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, I think Brian Callahan, I think it's taken a toll on him to struggle so much to start his career as a head coach. I think he wanted that one a lot.
Yeah. It's just, you beat the Patriots.
No, I get it.
Come on. Like,
I get it. It's just, I believe Brian Callahan when he speaks. Rand Carthon, not so much. And I'm not trying to make this about the Titans. I'm just saying I appreciate from Barry Trotz that, hey, they spent all this money and he's not trying to say, no, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to figure it out. Like, we've got the right people in place. He's like, hey, I won't be scared to pull the plug on this thing if it keeps going south.
every time he comes on this station, he's sending a message to not only the fans, but that locker room back there. And he's hoping that those players hear it and get it together, because otherwise, I mean, he said it himself. He's going to make some changes.
And honestly, like, it's not just the players, it's the whole organization.
Yeah.
He's sending that message to everybody.
Yeah.
Because he's the captain of the ship. He's the one directing it where it needs to go. He's the one pulling up the anchor. We're dropping the sails. We're going. If we're going that direction, let's turn it a little bit, add some people along, get the little sidecar, a little side boat, bring it up. Boom. There you go. There's all the rest of your players.
Boat season's over, buddy. You know that, right?
Oh, boat season's every season. Are you kidding me? We're on the ice. We're in the Antarctica. That's where we're
It's
at.
like it's like Morgan Wallen saying he's going to drop his songs.
Morgan Wallen. They're better than that.
No, hey, no Morgan Wallen slander allowed on this
I'm
show.
not slandering. I'm just saying the Preds, they mean more. All right.
Are they in the SEC?
They're in the South, buddy. Get used to that.
mean, the SEC
Actually, they're in the West.
SEC tournament is played in their stadium every year.
Actually,
so.
they're in the West. So,
Well, he
There was
dropped
a women's basketball national championship back in 18, 19, right? Notre Dame was in it, weren't they?
I
You
think
could be
that was
right.
around the right time.
Yeah.
18,
You
19.
got some solid memory. Sometimes it works.
sometimes
Sometimes it doesn't work.
in your old age, it's fading on you.
Hey, you never know, man. I'm telling you, I'll wake up one day and not know what to do. The next day, I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. Like, we do this a lot. We compare Preds ownership and front office to the Titans, they're still polar opposites to me. They're both having similar results right now, but I have more confidence in that the Preds can turn things around and compete than I have the Titans. And that's not saying much, but it's just there's so much more accountability with the Predators. There's no excuses. There's no sunshine pump. We get down to business. This is what's going on. This is how we're gonna. I love that. I love the open book philosophy that Barry and even Brunette have. Titans not so much. It's maybe next week. Maybe we'll get him. Maybe next year.
Ball didn't bounce our way.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to make this about the Titans. We're going to talk about the Titans later on in the show, but with the Preds, even when the results aren't going their way, which obviously they haven't this year, when you're dead last in the NHL after having the offseason of a lifetime this year, that's about as bad as it can be so far. But when you hear the leadership talk, you believe in those guys to turn it around. I don't feel the same way about the Titans. And we're going to talk more about that coming up later on in the show. Guys, how do we feel about the Predators tonight against Utah? I think this is a big one at home, a chance to get momentum heading in the right way before you hit the road for almost 2 weeks. I feel like this is one they kind of have to have at least 1 point and hopefully 2 against Utah before hitting the road.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is when you got to get something going. I'd be lying to you if I said I had full confidence they would get it, though, just because of the way things have been going and the way that they're playing. But you know how that changes? You go out and win tonight. You get some momentum heading into this long road trip. You please the fans at home, get them going, get the fans into it early. Get the Penn Station first goal of the game. Please.
Give us some free fries.
We want some fries. But that's how you get it going.
I want to end the night with some Frosties. How about that?
Hey.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Brent Peterson does too.
Hey, you can't go wrong. And anytime you're producing the game here, Jay, get the second period goal with the last 5 minutes. He's like, all right, I get to go to
breakfast.
I mean, this is what the president do. They need to be able to score in these certain time frames and certain amount of goals to make the fans happy, to make my stomach happy.
I need to hear the post game show tonight. Start with Preds win.
Yeah.
This is, to quote Dabo Sweeney,
Don't quote that guy.
Well, BYOG, bring your own guts.
Okay.
I mean,
I didn't know he said that, but all right.
I didn't know.
I think that is a Dabo quote.
Dabo says a lot of things.
Dabo says a lot of things that I choose to
very
not listen to.
outlandish.
Yeah. I'm telling you, one of these days he's going to run down the hill and he's going to tear his ACL and they'll never
What
run
if he
down the hill.
just face plants?
I would laugh.
That would be funny. It would be
Hickory
because
dickory dock.
again, the hill, it's a bad entrance. Not bad, overrated.
Better than the Hokies.
No, you already did your rankings. You can't go back on them. No, those are written in stone.
Hokies catching strays this morning.
No, Hokies will never catch strays from me.
The Hokies,
and until they play football.
They play Clemson today. Actually, they got it. It's the entrance bowl.
But
I don't know.
lane.
Okay.
So.
It's
I saw their
lane,
basketball team last night. They're pretty good. Virginia Tech.
I heard they played awful in the first half.
Well, they did, but I mean, they got a 3-point shooter that's just he's unconscious.
Honestly, I don't know if I could name more than 2 players on Virginia Tech's basketball team.
Boo!
Once we get into Vandy women's basketball season, I just don't pay attention to men's basketball at all.
Fair weather fan.
I got you covered.
Last year,
no
my men's bracket knowledge was nothing, but the women's one, I could have gone through seed by seed for you, and let you know what's what. So,
I got you this year. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
I got you.
That's why this show works, because we all complete each other.
Exactly.
This is great.
With the Preds, I think the one giveaway we all want to make sure happens is queso. Preds win, you win. Hopefully the Predators can get a win tonight against Utah. We'll make a pick on that game coming up later on in the show. But when we come back on its regularly scheduled timing, Newt's Notes at 9:45 here on the program. Connor Newt takes over the show. Coming up next here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta
Notes.
I forgot about that one.
We mean business today.
That one's good. 4's Company. Connor, take it away.
All right. So, college basketball season is upon us. Teams have started going. My Wildcats played Monday. They played today as well. But I don't want to talk about the Wildcats today. I want to talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks. They played Wednesday. They played locally. They played the Lipscomb Bisons. Oh, sorry. They won by a large margin of 16 points. And let's just say things got interesting in the press conference with John Calipari. Basically, it's 15 years of what I like to call Calisms in one press conference. And I have it clipped for you. This is Calipari's greatest moments. This is just some of the sights and sounds of that press conference.
How about this thought? Make a three. Takes me out every time I make a mistake. No, I don't. CBS is covering the game.
Threes. But
What?
You
Because the guy wants, I'm going to start this. Give it to Jimmy. He has to come back. No, he doesn't. I have not watched that game. It's too late. I was in bed. What? Why would you do that? And as you get older, it really. So they called a timeout. Ooh. So you have no questions now that I.
just waiting for you to stop talking.
What? Go block that ball. How about that statement?
That's incredible.
I like the.
It's just a stream of consciousness.
I have no idea what he's saying. And you know what? I had to listen to this for 15 years. The next thing he's going to say is, I like my team. I like my roster. This is why I titled this segment, if you look at the grid, I like my team, the John Calipari story. Later down the line, he's going to get ejected on purpose, which is what he does every year.
to prove that he stands up for his guys.
Yeah, it's usually against Mississippi State or Arkansas, but now he's on Arkansas. So
Maybe
that's
it's Kentucky this year.
yeah, maybe. I hope not, because I want Rupp Arena to be just a.
Don't they play? They play in Fayetteville. Do they play in Rupp Arena as well?
They only play in Rupp Arena this year.
Okay, I was hearing. I thought it was in Fayetteville. But
No, it's in Lexington. But then he's gonna do this thing where he did it against Auburn last year. He gets mad at the media and says, "Keep my players out of your mouth. If anyone sucks, it's me." And I don't know. It's the same thing. Same song, different dance. And I hope Arkansas fans see this. This isn't me. Listen, I've been a Kentucky fan since I was 5. That's 15, 16 years. I've been watching. I literally started when John Calipari started. He's the only coach I've ever known. So I know what I'm talking about here. And this isn't me being, a biased Kentucky fan. This isn't me just going off on him for no reason because I'm salty. But look at Mark Pope. Go back and watch his press conference from the other day. Smart, kind of like Andrew Burnett, open book, composed, knows what he's talking about, gets into the nitty gritty of things. Then you have John Calipari making random noises and, getting it. Well, make a 3, do that. Like, it's just ridiculous. Here's a comparison for you. This is the two offenses. Kentucky's offense in their debut scored 103 on 39 field goals, 11 of 24 from 3-point with 30 assists and only 7 turnovers. The anonymous offense, as Tristan Ferris puts, which we know is Arkansas, 76 points on 34 field goals, 4 of 19 with only 10 assists and 12 turnovers. A little bit of a difference there.
10 assists to 12 turnovers is not good against a mid-major team.
No, it's not. And I mean, this is just, I don't know. I'm telling you now, this is the same song and dance. They're going to get into the tournament. They're going to be like a 3 or 4 seed. They're going to play.
Really?
Yeah. They're going to be, yeah.
They're talented.
They'll beat up on the weak teams. They play Baylor today too. So we'll see. Baylor kind of got curb stomped by Gonzaga the other day, but I think they'll come out firing today. Scott Drew, that's just how he is. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to get into the playoff. They're going to be a 3 or 4 seed. They're going to play, St. Matthew and lose. So,
Cal always blows it in March.
yep.
Hey, they'd have some big stadium pulse in SBA.
He is the college SBA. He's the college version of Doc Rivers. He wins so much less with more. It's ridiculous. Like
That's a good comparison because they both do have championships, but
from
they
15 years ago.
they also blow a lot of leads and blow a lot of games in the postseason. So
Yeah, it's insane to me how Arkansas is so excited about him being here because it's literally this is another thing he says. He's like, we have a young team, very young team. It's the same team as last year. They're all sophomores and juniors. So
One Jonas Adu,
Jonas
former Vol.
Jonas Adu, VFL. It's literally Kentucky's roster from last year with a few more freshmen, Jonas Adu and John L. Davis from FAU.
can Jonas Adu be a VFL if he transfers?
No.
No, I think
Is that how, like, is VFL, like, is if you're a Vol at any point, are you a Vol for life? Or
well, I don't
if you
know.
leave the Vols, are you left for dead?
The line is gray there because Wallman the other day said Mookie Betts was a VFL.
I was
Yeah.
joking.
He at no point was
No,
a Vol.
look at that smirk on his face. He ain't joking.
I feel
I
like
was joking.
Don't you dare.
Mookie probably would have been a Vandy boy, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
If he had gone to college.
Well, no.
He was going to sign to Tennessee.
I think he was verbally committed to Tennessee,
Yeah.
but he had never signed a letter.
Well,
of intent
Nashville
or
claims
anything.
him still.
I think Vandy did offer him. There was a stipulation about like certain play time or something.
Gotcha.
And I don't know the whole logistics about it. I have to go back and ask them.
I wasn't around here at that point, so I don't remember that as well. But
My
still.
dad's an umpire, and he's like, that is the best. Him
Yeah.
and David Price,
Mhm.
the two best
Sonny
players,
Gray.
and Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
I don't think he umpired Sonny Gray.
I had
but
a front row seat to Mookie Betts every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday in high school baseball. One, because my brother played with him in travel ball, but two, I mean, my brother went to follow around down the street, and then Mookie went into Overton, obviously. It was like every other weekend or every other week we'd go to Overton to watch them play. And Mr. Willie's over there grilling burgers. What do you want, buddy? I'm like, I'll just take a burger, Mr. Willie. I appreciate it.
Mr. Willie.
Yeah, that's his dad, Mr. Willie. Great
Mr.
guy.
Willie.
Great guy.
I have his phone, not Mr. Willie. I have Mookie's phone number somewhere in my
Oh.
contact. I've never
Wow.
used it. I just have it.
Tell him what's it
So if we ever, that would be a good guest.
That would be
He
a
just won a
good-
World
it'd
Series.
be a great guest. If
Yeah.
I don't know if he would agree to come on, but it would be a great
He's
guest.
like, for what? Oh, four pin.
This is on
Gotcha.
Saturday.
Yeah. Wait a minute. What?
He would have to wake up at like 7 if he's
Well,
out in
Yeah,
LA.
he
lives
is
here.
out in LA.
Did
Yeah,
he-
but if he's back here, we should get him in studio.
How
Yeah.
about that?
He comes to visit Overton every year. My dad
Yeah.
used to work there.
He actually has
so-
a day, like a National Mookie Betts Day here in Nashville. It's like,
Oh.
I don't know.
How did we go from John Calipari in Arkansas to Mookie Betts?
We were on the Vol for Life
Yeah,
topic.
we talked
Yeah,
about being involved for
VFL.
life.
I
What does it mean?
I think it's depending on how you leave.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Connor, I hate to do this to you, but John Calipari lives rent free in your head. It seems.
No. I just like to see him fail. Whatever ek means.
Yeah, that was really funny.
It's actually coming up November the 12th, Mookie Betts Day.
Oh, so it's Tuesday.
That's
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
How about
Everyone
that?
wear your Mookie Betts merch.
Yeah.
I don't know. If
Maybe
anyone
we
here
should have
has.
had him on this weekend to talk about it.
Let me call him real
Mm.
quick.
Yeah,
Hey, Mook, how you
just
doing,
Call
buddy?
him from the studio phone and see if he picks up. Just be like, "Hey, you ready to come on the show?"
It's gonna be like did you see Pat McAfee yesterday with Brian Kelly was walking through? They were doing their show from LSU Stadium.
Oh, and
Brian,
they just grabbed him.
Brian Kelly was walking through, and Pat McAfee was like, I want him, but I don't want to disrespect him. And then Brian Kelly eventually comes up, and Pat McAfee's, hey, while I got you here, is there an off chance you could hop on with us for 10 minutes or so? He's like, yeah, I was fine. So it could happen.
Yeah.
That would be.
My
I don't
mom
e-
agrees with you, by the way. Rent free.
Yep. Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to chime in. Also, we will get to our question of the day coming up next. What is your least favorite household chore? What really just, you put it off, you procrastinate, you don't want to do it around the house. We will give our answers coming up next. We got a couple answers on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That is coming up next here on 4's Company, hour number 2 here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. 4's Company, hour number 2 here on this Saturday. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Jake Wallman with you, getting you set for what should be a fun day of college football, NFL tomorrow. We got hockey tonight. Plenty to get to on the show. We talked a lot of Preds in the first hour. We're going to talk some college football here in hour number 2, along with a little bit of Titans towards the end of the show. But first, let's get to our question of the day. We want to hear from you. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Wallman wants to know, what is your least favorite household chore? We've got a couple answers on the text line, but let's give some of our answers first. Connor, what is your favorite or least favorite thing to do around the house?
Well, I'm gonna steal one from one of our texters. Gover on our text line says dishes. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Dishes are my least favorite.
Do you hate? Well, I guess you were going to give your answer. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, dishes. It's usually my brother and I. I still live with my family at home, so we rotate. He's on dishes right now, but it is just a pain in the rear. Like, I'm a busy man. I'm obviously here and then doing stuff at school, and I have school out in Murfreesboro, but it's just one extra thing that I got to do. It's just frustrating. Years from now, when I'm hopefully married and have children, I will enforce the dishes policy on them to make them suffer. But as of now, I am the prisoner of the dishes.
Let me help you out there, Connor. I know your family listens from week in and week out. Give the guy a hall pass. He does a lot. I mean, a lot. He brings home the bacon. I think y'all need to give him a little bit of slack. So there you go, Connor. Hopefully that helps out.
Thank you.
You're
My
welcome.
mom will probably text me and say, "Shut up, Nick Frazier." But we'll see.
Listen, Connor does a great job around here. I think we need to give him a little more slack at home because
more money, Chase McCabe.
Yeah. That too. I mean, this man does a good job around here. That's all I'm trying to say.
Let it be known I formally requested a raise
on the
live
air.
on
I
air.
love it.
That's a
Hey,
bold move.
Willie did that for me a couple weeks ago when I did the silly underdog picks. If I got the picks right, I could get like a pay
While we're at
raise,
it, give Lyman a raise too.
but- Jesus, Connor. My goodness.
Connor's just making
He's on a
requests
roll.
live on air if the suit is listening out there.
Well, I will say this. You shouldn't have to do the dishes. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I should have more time with the college football 25
Yes.
instead of the dishes.
Yeah.
Coach Newt has responsibilities,
I do.
everybody.
He's got to be on the road.
Yeah, I do. We got a big one tonight against
Stadium
Mississippi
Pulse.
State.
Cowbells, baby.
Cowbells.
Stadium Pulse.
I've returned home to Lexington, by the way. I left South Bend.
Wow.
It was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
It's a rivalry game.
What?
Mississippi State and
And
Kentucky.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. They put the pirate helmets in the game.
Oh,
Did they really?
Yeah.
I need to start playing this game. I haven't played it since like July.
it came out in July.
I know. I binge played it for a whole month. I was like, I'm burnt out.
Dude,
now. I
I'm-
just don't want to
I'm
do it
working
anymore.
on like 267 hours.
Holy
Wow.
I have a
Christmas.
problem.
I'm starting to get burnt out. I enjoy playing like the online dynasty with my friends, like when you're recruiting against people and all that stuff. But I've gotten kind of burnt out on the offline one. I haven't
Yeah.
played that in a few
I
weeks.
can't. I'm rotating between that one and NHL. Where
Yeah.
the Preds
See,
are actually
Shell
good.
is fun.
I haven't played NHL yet. Is it pretty good?
It's pretty
solid?
good.
Yeah,
it's pretty
It's a fun
solid.
game.
Mm.
Jake Wallman, you were the one with the question. Is your answer? Is it what you said?
It's the dog.
the
poop,
dog.
yeah.
The dog. Okay.
I have to do
that's
that for my dad too.
wow.
What?
Your whole family.
You're just a man. You're like a Swiss Army knife.
I'm
He
like
does the dishes.
I'm like Taysom Hill.
He
You
picks
probably
up
clean
dog
out the
poop.
crawl space too, don't you?
No, well, I pay the bills. Yeah.
Like you said, bring home the bacon. That's what
yeah,
he does.
he
around
does. He
there.
brings home
Give
the
the,
bacon.
man, give the man a break.
And by bills, I mean I only pay my car insurance, but
groceries for nutrition.
Yeah.
I don't buy my own. Well,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you do.
I put in formal requests.
There you go.
There you go.
What was nutrition today?
It's nothing. Have you read Golden Grams?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Solid.
Okay. I mean, nothing spectacular, but
We like it.
we like it.
Nick Frazier, what is your least favorite household chore?
Before we get to mine, I'm curious. So with the dog thing, is that an HOA requirement or
I think it's just, hey, let's keep our property clean.
like you have a backyard, right?
No,
No backyard.
we do have a really big field. Like we have a sidewalk right out from the parking lot that leads to this big field that I think they're going to develop at some point.
Uh-huh.
Where do you live? What's your home address and zip code?
My goodness, Connor, you're on one this morning. I'll say this.
What's your social security number?
Just take the dog way out into that field and just
I hope they're not listening.
call him back. Well, they don't know where he lives, so it's all good. I mean, just tell the dog go way out there and come all the way back.
The
Like,
HOA is calling.
like
I
just
feel
fake-
like if I let her off the leash, she would go all the way out there and never come back.
well, just like fake throw like a stick or something to act like she's playing fetch, and then do the business and come back. Like, I don't have.
I got to keep this dog on a leash, man. You don't know what
Nature-
we're dealing
well,
with.
if you come home and there's an eviction notice on your front door, we know why.
See, you
I'm
guys are
moving in
the,
with Connor.
You don't want that.
you guys are the people that I despise in my community. Like we're the same way. It's all common areas, and me and my fiance, we pick up after our dog
He said it
every
again.
single time. I'm training myself.
I'm gonna put fiance counter on you.
Yep, we're at 2.
We're at 2.
What am I supposed to say? No one,
Significant.
my
other.
significant-
significant
partner?
other, my partner. Yeah, my roommate. We pick up after our dog every time, but there is always other dogs who clearly
Yep.
their owners aren't the same. And so I feel like it's like the tragedy of the commons. It's like when one person doesn't take care of it, then everybody kind of stops taking care of
It's a
it.
domino.
So,
effect.
I'm telling you,
Here's-
we are a nation of laws, and
No.
when you don't have rules and laws, society breaks down.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Like, if you have your own property and there's somebody that has a dog, a neighbor that has a dog, and they use the dog uses the restroom on your property, like that's what I got a problem with. And you don't pick up after, that's my problem. That's where I get real mad about it. Now, but if it's a common, giant field that nobody really goes into, it's undeveloped and whatnot, leave it. Leave it for the birds. Leave it.
So
leave it-
Nick Frazier says use the restroom in underdeveloped societies.
Well, no, I'm talking about open fields for animals because they're animals. They're not humans.
Go to someone else's neighborhood and don't pick it up.
And don't
Then come back.
Didn't say that. I'm just saying an open field that doesn't
drive
is
to
not
Brentwood.
used, Well, that might be a problem, honestly. Let's see. Back to my. This is tough. I'd say.
You seem like the kind of person who loves chores.
I mean, chores are not really a thing for me. I just do them.
It just feels like Nick Frazier lives a very structured life. Like he's got a routine and just does it.
I do have a routine. I'm getting back to a more stricter routine recently, but
That's good.
I'd say it's the flower pots. That's what I hate the most. I hate them.
What?
I had to do it last Saturday. My mom's like, "Hey, I got this giant plant," and of course, she hasn't taken this plant out of the potter for I'd say 3 years. So the root is built into the hole in the bottom of the planter. So I'm trying to pull it out, and it's basically stuck inside the hole. So I can't pull out anything. So I'm digging it out like a dog and digging and digging and digging around this giant root. And so I try to tip it over. It doesn't come out. It took me about an hour and a half. I'm like, this is not fun.
Wow.
Shouldn't have to do this.
Just put on
So-
some music. Get it
Yeah.
done.
Well, future reference for people out there that like to do, the flower, whatever it is out there for your nice patios, put in the lining, the flower lining, I'm talking about for the soil. Use that. So when the roots decide to grow, they don't grow down into a open hole on the flower potter. It's just, it's not right. You just got to put a lining in there. So when you're done with it, you pull the plant up, it comes up easy. Nothing wrong with that. That's my biggest, I guess, issue.
Gardening tips with Nick Frazier.
Thank you. Gardening. I couldn't think of the word.
We
you
love
know,
it.
you know who should help you garden?
Who's
Because I
this?
know he loves it.
Hmm.
D-Mace.
Really?
Does he?
Is D-Mace a big garden guy?
D-Mace, from what I understand, D-Mace has pineapple plants.
Oh.
That he takes care of.
Pineapple plants?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'll have to ask D-Mace if I can have a pineapple plant. All right.
I'm kind of with you on the outdoor stuff. Like I hated growing up. I hated mowing the lawn. Like that was. It
I
always
love
took
mowing the lawn.
forever.
Yeah.
Like I had allergies, so doing it during the spring, I would just get all the pollen and everything.
Yeah.
But living in I'm in a townhouse now, so I obviously don't have to mow the lawn. Laundry. I'm not a huge laundry guy.
Oh
either.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that just
on mine.
it feels very tedious to like my dryer. I feel like it takes 4 hours to finish, and it's like I've got to wait for that, and it's like you got to fold everything.
Yeah.
I always procrastinate on that. Stuff will sit in the dryer for
Days.
a day at a time.
Yeah.
So I
I
would
don't know,
probably
there's
go
some-
laundry based on what I do now.
There's something about laundry though, Jake, that just you feel like you've done something.
Well, once it's done, I feel great. I'm like, finally, I have all my clean clothes back.
Nothing
but
is more satisfying than putting on a clean shirt.
Right,
It
like,
smells good.
I enjoy it when it's done, but it's like getting myself to start doing laundry,
Yeah.
it takes a while.
The hard part for me on laundry isn't getting the clothes to the washer and dryer. It's getting the clothes upstairs and getting them folded.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Because I have like a rotation thing where I gotta like move the clean clothes that are already in the dresser to the top of the pile
Right.
because I don't want to immediately wear these clean clothes that I just cleaned.
Plus separating lights and darks. It's
You know, you actually don't have to do that if you wash on cold all the time.
uh,
My wife taught me that one. That's what you get to look forward to, Jake. By
Thank
the way.
you. Yeah.
chore tips from Jake Wallman.
In college, I didn't separate light and dark at all. I just everything goes in the same one. But I do separate them.
Send it.
Yeah, we just did it. Never had anything like turned pink or anything like that. So
Yeah,
you
the
know.
red shirts are what get you.
Yeah.
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 I don't wear a lot of red.
And
For a
don't
reason.
don't put an ink pen in your pocket.
Ugh.
Some people out there.
One time I did that. I put an ink. I accidentally had a pen in my pocket. It exploded in the dryer.
Yeah.
We still have ink stains in the dryer.
Man,
I
we're,
have a
put-
s-
we're putting out great tips. For
I have a
everybody out
story
there.
on this. In a past life, I worked for UPS.
Wait, a past life?
Past life.
Reincarnated.
Have you been reincarnated?
This was a COVID job,
Okay.
and we used these like really thick markers
Uh-huh.
to write numbers and stuff. And I think I ran through like 2 or 3 Sharpies because I would leave them in my shorts
Oof.
pockets, and I got stains all over some clothes.
Wow.
I can imagine
You're
you
the
as
guy.
As a mailman.
You're the guy I despise.
kinda
who
look
does
like
stuff
one.
like this. He would be the guy to do that.
You look like a
Hey,
mailman. UPS
I didn't mean
visor.
to make you mad. I
It's
just
that stuff infuriates me because I have nice clothes. And sometimes people leave a pin in there for
Are
no
people
reason.
putting pens in your pockets? Is that like?
no,
Said Nick Frazier
I'm-
with the hoodie
I'm s-
splattered
it's
with paint.
relative.
I'm so confused.
I
Like,
have relatives that decide to
oh,
put
okay.
pins. I'm not naming names, but there are people that I know that are relatives that put pins in their pockets, and I think they do it on purpose sometimes.
I was
And
like,
they
that-
ruin-
Nani, you've been outed.
That would
No.
be so funny if Nick Frazier's just like opening his dryer and like, somebody put a pen in my pocket again.
Gosh
Uh,
darn it. Starts like kicking dirt.
I actually do say that, but not like to the point of somebody did it on purpose. I'm like, somebody
Gosh
did it
darn it.
again with some
Uh,
expletive words.
shiver me
There's
timbers.
been a murder.
So
That's the third time we've gotten. There's been a murder in
Savannah.
Savannah.
wow, it's more than the other word. All right, we'll put a counter for both.
Oh yeah.
Here we go. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. What a wild segment we just had. We'll get back to sports coming up next. We're going to talk some college football. The first college football playoff rankings have been released. But Connor, we are kicking you out of the studio.
Oh. Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
I'm
Kicking
still,
me out completely.
Yeah, Jake Wallman has to leave the
Get
board,
out!
so Connor is getting out of the studio.
You need to leave.
So we will make that switch here in the break. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tune into 1025 the game tomorrow for Vanderbilt men's basketball. Commodores taking on SEMO, Southeast Missouri at Memorial Gym. Tip-off at noon. Pre-game begins at 11:30 with Kevin Ingram and Tim Thompson. Coverage is also available on the 1025 the game app and at thegamenashville.com. 4's Company. More coming up next year on 1025 and 1063 the game. Tune into 93.3 FM. Totally Hits Nashville tonight for MTSU men's basketball. The Blue Raiders take on Abilene Christian. Tip-off at 6. Pre-game begins at 5:30. Coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. 4's Company rolling along. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier in studio. So much more room in here now.
Doesn't feel as hot anymore.
I'm glad we got that guy out of here.
Who?
I feel like I can still hear him somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
His spirit must have never left.
Yeah, he's still around somehow.
He's bringing the tunes too.
Connor Newt back behind the board as we
Hey,
we
how
say
are ya?
goodbye to Jake Wallman for the morning. Jake with a great question of the day got us into a complete tangent in the last segment. But time to talk some college football here as moment of silence for Ben Herbstreit. They just honored
That
him.
just broke my heart.
on,
I didn't get to hear it, but
We didn't hear it either, but
I saw the montage and I saw Kirk Herbstreit crying.
Yeah.
So just my heart breaks for him and his family and everyone on that show. But
America's golden retriever
Yeah.
gone too soon.
When
college football's goodest boy.
Yeah. When people say a dog's not a man's best friend, it definitely is.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I mean, I had a lab probably about 4 years ago, obviously passed away. My best friend. I mean, you can't go wrong with saying that.
Here's what people don't understand. Like those animals are a portion of your life. You are their entire life.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that dog, I feel like, obviously I've never met Ben Herbstreit. I would love to meet Herbstreit, but that dog I feel like was probably one of the most gentle animals anyone has ever seen. I mean, they just showed the montage of, all these players and Puddles the duck getting in on petting good old Ben. But I mean, I'm a dog person, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing the videos of him he's just walking down the football field. Not a care in the world. We love it. Love Ben Herbstreit. And feeling for Kirk and his family this week. And clearly still affecting him over on College Game Day as they're down in Baton Rouge today. College football playoff rankings were released for the first time on Tuesday. And we get a first look at kind of what the committee is thinking of what the first 12-team playoff will look like. Any surprises for you guys when you look at this?
Where are the
playoff
Kentucky
ranking?
Wildcats? That's all I'm saying.
Where are the Vanderbilt Commodores is the real question.
Where is Eastern Michigan?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Ypsilanti,
Yeah, I don't know.
something like that.
Yeah. I don't think they'd belong in this, Connor, to be fair.
I think they do.
Army at 25 at 8-0. I thought they might be a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a homer about this. I think SMU does not deserve to be 13. I think they need to be a top 10 team.
I agree,
in my opinion.
and let me know if you agree which team that is in should be out. The Alabama Crimson Tide should not be in the playoff right now.
Really?
I agree.
They're a 2-loss team. They're the only 2-loss team that is currently in the bracket, and you've got an 8-1 SMU team behind them. I would have SMU in there over Alabama.
My
right now.
take is BYU should be a top 4 team. They should have the bye.
Yeah, because right now, no, they do have the bye, don't they?
No,
they don't.
they were the 6.
They're currently 9th.
Who are the
ninth.
Playoff ranking.
Oh, did they put no? But BYU would be
No.
Oregon from the Big Ten, Georgia from the SEC, Miami from the ACC,
They're Big 12.
and then BYU from the
Yeah.
Big 12. They would be
Yeah.
the 4.
But they're currently not projected.
Well, they're the 9th ranked team, but they would have a bye.
Yeah, he's saying because like the leader of the conference.
The top 4 from the top 4 conference champions get
Well, yeah.
byes.
I'm just going
BYU
based
would
off
be
bracket.
the 4th.
I see what he's saying.
I'm just going based off
He's solely going off the bracket projections.
right now.
Yeah,
I know,
now.
but I'm saying Ohio State is, even though they're the 2, they would be the 5 seed.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying what the bracket is saying right now.
who are the 4 byes in the bracket then?
Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia,
Well, that
Texas, I think.
But Ohio State, again, Ohio State wouldn't get a bye. Only one team from the Big Ten can get a bye.
Yeah.
So it would be BYU.
Because they're the Big 12. Yeah.
But Boise State is close behind them for that next spot. Boise State would get the 5th auto bid at the 12th ranked team at 7-1. But yeah, BYU 8-0. They would be. So the bracket right now would be Oregon, Georgia, Miami, BYU as your 4 bye teams. Then it would be Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Boise State. Correct?
That is correct.
Correct. I just confused myself.
It's confusing. I think it's going to take a little bit to get used to this being like, all right, well, the 9 seed gets a bye because their conference isn't as good as the other ones. Like, it is funny how that works out, that like the Big 12 isn't good. They've got what, 3 teams ranked in the top 25? 4?
It's not a great conference. I think, let's see here. We got BYU,
Iowa State,
yeah,
Kansas State, Colorado. Is that all from the Big 12?
that
Where's
sounds right.
SMU? That's
They're
my
13th. They're 13th.
They
They
are
need to be
just on
in.
the bubble.
Yeah, they're the first team out.
They
which
need to
is-
be in.
That's what I'm saying. They should be a top 10 team.
I'd put them in over Alabama.
And see, the problem is with SMU, they've had this double quarterback situation, and Kevin Jennings is now the solidified number 1 in that offense. I think what Lashley's done down there in Dallas is just going under the radar, unfortunately, and it just shows the committee is putting more emphasis on SEC teams because, like you're saying, to Alabama, they're a team that shouldn't be in, and I agree. They're a 2-loss team.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to discount, Vanderbilt at all, but they lost to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a good football team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're Alabama and you got 2 losses and one of those is Vanderbilt, and you have a team like SMU, who's a first-time ACC team, they're coming in here undefeated in the whole entire conference.
Yeah.
Come on now.
The Georgia win is getting Alabama a little bump, which it should. Georgia's a really good football team. They're the 3rd-ranked team in the country. That's probably the best win this year outside of Oregon beating Ohio State. Would you say that? Like, Alabama beating Georgia, probably the best win outside of 1 and 2 playing each other. Obviously, whoever wins that game is going to be number 1.
Yeah.
But Tennessee beating Alabama's up there too. I just don't. Tonight's an elimination game, right? Like Alabama, LSU, loser is out. I don't see a 3-loss team getting in this year.
It'd be close. It'd be close because if LSU loses to Alabama tonight, just putting that out there, I think LSU might be one of those bubble teams that's a 3-loss.
Really?
I do.
I can't see that.
I mentioned it just now.
Let's look at LSU's.
Now, I will say this. If LSU loses tonight, Brian Kelly goes on the hot seat.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I really do think the committee overvalues the SEC too much in this playoff. They do.
They do.
I mean, we've seen
But it's
it,
also a money draw.
Yeah,
That's part of it.
We've seen it in years past. I mean, what team in the SEC that would have 3 losses attracts you to watch television? Theoretically, it'd be LSU.
LSU or Alabama. Yeah.
Correct.
So Alabama, if they lose this game, I think maybe you could make an argument for them that, hey, their 3 losses are to a top 10 Tennessee team. LSU would be a top 10 team at that point.
Mhm.
And then a possibly ranked Vanderbilt team, all 3 games on the road. So you could make an argument there for Alabama. LSU, looking at their remaining schedule, they're 14 right now. If they lose this game, they would drop. Their last 3 games are Florida, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. Are any of those wins pushing the needle to get them back into the top 12? Probably not.
No.
Unless
Unless
Vandy
Vanderbilt
wins
is
out.
Yeah, Vandy wins out, maybe, but
Yeah, I guess if Vandy ends up being, I guess they'd be 8-4.
they'd be
That
fringe top
20.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you look at it like, oh, Vandy beat Alabama, but LSU beat Vandy. So wait, is Vandy like minus the Georgia? It's crazy because the Georgia State loss for Vanderbilt hurts other teams.
Yeah.
It does.
Like at LSU and
Yeah.
Alabama. So you're like, dang, man, if Vandy would have beat Georgia State, this would make it easier for us to pick
Right.
either, Alabama or LSU. So
It's tough, and this is why the 12-team playoff is so fun, because if this was the 4-team playoff, there really wouldn't be much of an argument right now. The top 4 teams are clearly Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami. Like, I think that is clear. Texas is probably on the bubble. But then I think there's a pretty significant drop-off after that when you get down to Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana. But all of those teams feel pretty good about their chances to make the playoffs right now. Indiana has not played many tough teams yet, but that might not matter. They might go 11-1, not make the Big Ten championship, and
They got Ohio State coming up soon.
But if Indiana loses that game,
They're 11-1.
they would be 11-1. Oregon and Ohio State would go to the Big Ten championship. I think an 11-1 Big Ten team gets in no matter what. So, like, Indiana, Kurt Cignetti can just, hey, as long as we take care of the games we're supposed to win, we can cruise right into the playoff.
Yeah. host a playoff game.
Hear me out. If Cignetti does go 11-1, what if, like, in that one loss game to Alabama, to Ohio State, what if you had to just rest players?
Yeah, just say, hey, we're not going to go get beat up by. They do have Michigan today. It is at home.
Mhm.
They have Michigan today, which is not a gimme. I would think Indiana wins. Michigan hasn't looked good this year, but you win that one, you're going to beat Purdue at home in that last week of the season. Purdue is one of the worst teams in the Power Four. So you win today, you're going 11-1 pretty much and that would get them in. And I think the argument has to be made of, like, is an 11-1 Indiana team who, yeah, they've got a couple of moderately impressive wins. Like Washington was,
They haven't looked the same.
Michigan, they blew out Nebraska, who
Fell off.
they've been competitive. Like, there's not really a signature win in there for Indiana. Is that 11-1 Indiana team more deserving than a 10-2 Alabama team if Alabama were to win out? Like, probably not.
Really?
No, Alabama's got a better resume.
I think if Alabama were to win out, I think in that case both teams would get in. But if it did come down to that, like, let's say we got a bid stealer or something like that, like if Miami's undefeated and lose to SMU in the ACC championship game and both get in,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, look at it this way. What's a better resume look? A win against South Carolina or a win against Purdue?
Yeah.
But look at it a little deeper than that. What's a better resume of a team that's putting up 40 to 50 points per game and just blowing teams out and losing one game, or an Alabama team that's closely beating teams by like
They're
two
gonna
possessions?
favor the SEC because the SEC is a tougher.
That's what I'm saying.
That proves my point earlier. Is this committee that overvalues SEC teams in this format, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. And it is because in the Big Ten, yes, the top level teams are equal, I think, in the Big Ten and the SEC. Like, you look at Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, there's not a whole lot of difference there. But the further down you go, the SEC is just so much deeper than the Big Ten. Like, the 10th best team in the SEC is a tier above the 10th best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So
Go Cats.
yeah, exactly. Kentucky can be that team. Kentucky versus Rutgers or something like that.
Music City Bowl, baby.
I'm
Make it
taking
happen.
Kentucky. 615-737-1025 if you want to get in on the conversation. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll keep talking college football on the other side. Look at some of the big games today here on 4's Company, 1025, 1063 The Game. 4's Company, final half hour of the show here on a Saturday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you. This week's Nashville's Best Deals from Black Rabbit. Black Rabbit is a great spot to enjoy some Nashville vibes with craft cocktails, delicious food, and live music. Just steps from iconic venues. It's perfect for a night out. You can snag a $50 gift card for only $25. That's a fantastic way to experience it. Get yours now at thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last. We are talking college football here on this Saturday morning, getting ready for a full slate of games. Going through that 12-team projected playoff, there are a couple of big games today. We mentioned that LSU-Alabama game. Feels like an elimination game. I think Alabama, there's a path back if they did lose this game. LSU, probably not. The Rebels especially, if they win that one, I think Ole Miss puts themselves right back in the thick of the playoff hunt. They'd be 8-2 with a signature win over a top 5 team, but you lose it, you're probably done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. If it's a close game, no. I'm still in the camp of SEC teams are valued more than other teams. If you're a 3-loss SEC team and your 3 losses are close, nah.
But Ole Miss has a really bad loss to just a terrible SEC team, and I just I don't know if the committee will be able to look past losing to such an awful team in the SEC.
Should I even come in on this?
Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, they're bad, but
I'm joking.
no, I know. No, you're not wrong. I mean, but here's the thing: it's not Mark Stoops' fault. He doesn't get involved in that red zone play calling. It's not his thing. Anything else?
Does he get credit for that win?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Way to go. Yeah, he did the crowd surf and everything in the locker room.
Right. No, and like that's a big win for Kentucky. Ole Miss is still 7-2. Their losses are to Kentucky and was it LSU?
I think so. Let me double check on that.
I will check as well.
Yep.
LSU.
Yep.
So
and that scoreline was a 3-point margin.
Yeah, they've lost 2 very close games in the SEC. If they can beat Georgia today, and that's a 2:30 kick, I think Ole Miss is probably in. Their last 2 games, obviously the Egg Bowl at the end of the year. Mississippi State's very bad. Sorry, Frazier.
Nah, I mean, I've accepted
just an
the fact.
awful SEC.
Yeah, that would be a bad loss.
They're terrible. Like they're worse than Kentucky.
Well, so
Yeah.
they've got Florida and Mississippi State their last 2 games. So if Ole Miss wins today, not a lock, but I think that would put them in. I would look for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels to be in at that point. So this is kind of a win or go home game for Ole Miss, I think, today.
Yeah, I think they do. That's going to be an interesting matchup too. Their offense versus Georgia's defense. What does that look like? Now on the other side, I think Georgia's offense is lacking a little bit, and I think Ole Miss's defense is lacking a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it's strength on strength, weakness on weakness.
it is, and I think that favors both teams. But
let me pose this to you guys. Would you pick Alabama or Ole Miss if they both ended the season with 2 losses?
And see, that's what it might come down to, because
that's the only thing on my mind right now looking. If we're looking at SEC teams and if this committee is overvaluing the SEC, it's either Ole Miss or Bama that's going to be.
I think I'd take Bama.
Really?
I think Ole Miss has a worse loss to Kentucky than Bama has to Vanderbilt, because that Vanderbilt loss is looking better and better
and
as every week goes
and
by.
the Ole Miss loss was at home, correct? That was in Oxford.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would probably give the edge to Alabama there. And honestly, that might be what it comes down to, because I think you're looking at those top 6 teams are probably in, barring a major collapse.
Yep.
Tennessee is likely in as well. Indiana, we just talked about. BYU, I don't really know what to think. Like, I don't know if they're actually this good.
The Big 12 is just bad.
But they probably are going to get in. Notre Dame's probably in. And then you've got the group of 5 team. So I think maybe there's one spot, barring a collapse from one of those top 8 teams, there's one spot that's probably going to go to an SEC team. Is it Alabama, LSU, or Ole Miss? I think it's probably one of those 3 who ends up grabbing that spot.
Yeah. And I mean,
what about A&M?
Oh, yeah.
Let's say if they beat Texas in the last week of the season, that puts them at still 2
They have
losses.
a bad loss. I mean, not as bad a
I
loss
mean,
as
blown out by South Carolina.
Yeah, that's true.
They've got New Mexico State today.
it's a win.
Sorry, next week. Next Saturday. They're off this week. And then Auburn. A&M could get in. They have to beat Texas to end the season. Like that.
Yeah.
That's their only way. They have to win out. They have to beat Texas.
Yeah.
Which possible, maybe not likely,
Yeah.
but possible. So we'll see. I think the SEC. So let's see if we count through Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. I think the SEC gets 4 teams in. So it'll be Georgia, Texas, likely Tennessee, and then one of those 3 teams. Big Ten, Oregon, Ohio State. Again, as much as I don't think Indiana is actually one of the top 12 teams in the country, I think their resume is going to show that they are. I think they're in.
So
That'd be 3 for the Big Ten.
2 for the ACC, because I think Clemson gets in, Miami gets in.
Clemson after losing to Louisville.
Yeah.
So you're not going to include SMU. They're going to be one of the first
Oh,
teams out
SMU. I always forget they're in the ACC.
because they're undefeated in the ACC.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a chance the ACC only gets 1.
yeah.
See,
Unless Miami lost to an SMU or a Clemson in the ACC
how many
championship.
did you say Big 12?
I think
Just
probably
one.
just 1 for the
yeah,
Big 12.
BYU.
So- it
No
would be-
Iowa State?
If they lose to Kansas today, absolutely not.
I don't think they lose to Kansas.
Well, I keep forgetting the wrench in this is independent Notre Dame is probably getting in.
They're getting in.
So
They're not going to be a top 4 seed, obviously, because
So if that's
they're not in a conference. but
4 from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, independent Notre Dame, that's 8.
Mhm.
You got 1 from the ACC, 1 from the Big 12. So there'd be 2 spots left. I don't know where those
The
went.
G5.
G5. So there's 1 spot left right now. Oh, I forgot about Penn State. So
Yeah.
it's 4 for the Big Ten, 4 for the SEC. That's what it is.
You're 4.
Then
Um,
Boise State is probably your G5.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what it ends up being. 4 for the SEC, 4 for the Big Ten, 1 ACC, 1 Big 12, 1 G5, 1 independent, which is, I think that's kind of what we expected with the 12-team playoff is it's going to be the SEC Big Ten Invitational with a couple other teams thrown in there.
It's very true.
I was so out on the 12-team playoff when it came in. Now I'm coming around to it.
Well, you better start getting in on the 14-team playoff.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
and the 16.
It'll be
the
16
And
before
then
we
the
know it.
25. Then we're going to have 68
64.
teams.
Yeah, 64 teams.
Don't forget about that now.
We're going to have December madness.
Let's go to an 82-game football schedule.
Holy cow.
You want to talk CTE? There we go.
Seasons last 4 years,
Yeah.
I mean,
and they never stop.
get rid of your red shirts. Get rid of your sophomores and juniors. It's all one.
Red shirts, you sit out
Yeah.
82 games.
Could
What-
you imagine?
You can only play 4 games before your red shirt's waived.
That's holy cow. That's crazy.
Bobby on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com with a good question. If Vandy wins out, do they get in?
I think so.
No.
So
I
they'd
mean,
be a
Excuse me. Let me rephrase it. I think they get to the SEC championship if they do that. 2 loss.
They'd be, yeah. So Texas and who's the other one? Oh,
Georgia.
Missouri. Texas and Missouri, they've lost to.
Right.
Um,
But I'm saying if like another team that's only has 1 loss to be Georgia and Texas, right?
Yes, yeah. So they'd need everybody else except for one in the SEC to lose a second SEC game.
Okay.
So that would be if they beat Tennessee, Tennessee would have a second, so they'd have that and the tiebreaker. They'd need Georgia or Texas to lose a game.
It's
and-
doable
Yes,
because if Georgia loses today to Ole Miss, there's 2, and then if A&M decides
Texas
to,
plays A&M. Yeah, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Vandy would be 9-3, and would have wins over Alabama and Tennessee
Mhm.
and LSU on the road.
Mhm.
Yeah, Vandy would have an argument if they won out. I think Vandy would go into the selection show with some hope if they won out.
I feel like they get a high-end bowl.
They would. They'd probably go like ReliaQuest or something like that.
not your Pop-Tart Bowl.
No.
not that.
Texas Bowl.
Not
or
the
something like
Gasparilla Bowl.
No.
So yeah, Vandy today against South Carolina at home. Vandy's been really good at home this year. Only loss is Texas, and that was by 3 points. South Carolina riding high after beating Texas A&M. Vandy, if they get to 7-3, I would not want to be LSU or Tennessee facing the Commodores with my season on the line the next couple of weeks.
And I'll say this: if the weather goes south today, south meaning if it starts to rain and
Yeah.
pour and all that, I think that favors Vandy.
Yeah.
Completely, because the way
Yes.
Vandy runs the ball, long, they run it, wide down the line.
Yeah.
You did that against Alabama and Texas and Virginia Tech. Do it again against South Carolina. And
Yep.
boom.
Big
Game
one for
done.
Vandy today. 3:15 kickoff over at First Bank Stadium. You can listen over on 94.9 The Fan starting at 1:30 with pregame coverage there. Commodores trying to build off of their already clinched bowl eligibility. We will pick that game coming up next, along with the Preds and Utah. We'll get a wild card in there as well. That's coming up next here on 4's Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final segment, 4's Company here on this Saturday morning. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you, wrapping up the show, making some picks. We got some college football today. We got some hockey. We're going to see what we think is going to happen here. Do want to remind you that you can tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight at 6:30 for our college football game of the week, Alabama and LSU, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks, home of 29-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports. Let's start with the game that will be over on 94.9 The Fan before that, Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Commodores clinch bowl eligibility last week against Auburn. Do we think that they build off it and get another win against the Gamecocks? Connor Newt.
Man, this is quietly a tough game.
Yep.
This is a tough one. You know what? I'm going to do it. I like the way South Carolina is playing right now. I love Lenora Sellers at quarterback. I think their offense is going crazy, and I think their coach is playing for his job right now. He may have already gotten himself off the hot seat, but I think South Carolina has a lot more firepower heading into this game. So, give me the Cox. That was a tough one. I mean, I could make a case for either side, but South Carolina just speaks to me.
I'm going to go with Vanderbilt because I want to see him break James Franklin's record.
Yeah.
I don't want to see an 8-4 Vandy. I want to see a 9-3 Vanderbilt.
Wow.
That's what I want to see.
I'm going Vandy too. I don't know about LSU and Tennessee. They do have the bye week in there to reset, get ready for those last two games. But I do think they get it done today. I think South Carolina is going to come in riding high a little bit, and I think Vandy gets the win. So we got 2 on Vandy, 1 on the Cox. Let's go to Preds and Utah over at Bridgestone Arena tonight. Predators trying to get back in the win column after dropping 3 straight. Nashville, that game starting at 7 o'clock, pregame coverage at 6 right here on the game. Do we think the Preds get on track before heading on the road trip?
I want to say yes, but the way they're playing right now, no. It's just not. It's not meshing. It's not gelling. It's not looking like I can confidently say they're going to win any game right now.
Yeah.
So I have to go with the Utah Hockey Club tonight, but I really hope that the Predators come in and prove me wrong. I hope that they get it done. I hope pieces start. I would love to see a blowout win. I would love to see a 6-1 victory tonight.
Yeah.
And ride high, go into the West Coast trip next week with a lot of momentum. But I just, the way they've dropped 3 straight, they're 32 of 32. I have to go Utah.
I'm going to lean Preds here, and I think it's going to be one of those 5-3 goal-scoring affairs. This is one of those games where the Preds got to find their identity on the ice. This is that type of game. And honestly, I think Phil Forsberg nets 2 tonight.
2?
Wow.
Forsberg gets on the
2 for
score sheet
Scoresberg.
twice. Yep.
I feel negative today. Picked
Yeah,
against
you
the
picked
2
it-
local teams.
Yeah, you
It's
did.
okay. It's all right.
I'll go with you, Connor. I'm just not feeling it from the Preds right now. I really do hope that they can get things on track, and I think this would be the game to do it. But I'm going to go Utah too, and hopefully maybe a reverse jinx in there. Let's finish up with our wild card. I'll start us off here. I'll go with our game of the week over on 94.9 The Fan. I think LSU gets it done at home against Alabama. That'll be my pick.
Oh, I got so many ways I want to go with this. But we got to have a little bit of Wildcats today. No football this week. But they play the mighty Bison of Bucknell. Give me the Kentucky Wildcats by 40.
By 40.
By 40.
By 40?
By 40.
Wow.
What makes you say that?
The way they've been playing, man. I mean, they played a terrible Wright State team the other day, but they beat them by 41, which is ironically Mark Pope's college number. So I'm feeling it today. The spread is 28.5.
Holy cow.
They're covering today, man. They're
covering and then some.
They're
Wow.
covering. You know what they say? Good teams win. Great teams cover.
So they're using 2 blankets, not 1 to cover.
Oh,
Using
yeah.
2 blankets to cover.
They're
All
using
right.
a whole quilt.
Wow. I'm going with the Tennessee Vols. I obviously are going to beat Mississippi State, but I think it's going to be a 70-3 ball game.
What?
Oh my
All right. Nick Frazier.
Low on his team.
Throwing it all out there. I think the Cowbells are going to be pacified today in Knoxville, and it's going to be bad. I hate to say that I'm saying that, but it's gross. They're going to win 70-3.
Wow. All right. There are our picks. That's the show. That wraps it up for us here on this Saturday morning. Plenty coming up on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Preds at 6 here on the Game. Vandy at 1:30 on 94.9. And then the game of the week, Alabama LSU after that. Thanks for listening. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Connor Newt signing off. Have a great Saturday. We'll talk to you next time on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
See ya.